Welcome everyone. This is our fourth episode, and actually our first time having a special guest. I'll quickly go through who we are. So we have Persian with us. He's a former main player, premier player back in Source, and Danny, which is well known in the Northwest community for organizing lands and production and everything like that, and also casting with me. And then myself, pretty much been around for a really long time playing Counter-Strike, pretty much done as much as I could, and also casting with Danny. And then we actually have Matthew Lowe. He is part of the gaming stadium, which is located out in Vancouver, British Columbia. He is the VP of operations, and he's the man, and he's the guy that organizes everything and gets everything going. And he's very community driven, and he's the guy that you want to talk to, and he gets everything done. So welcome, Matt.
Thank you. Nice to be on here.
Oh, we definitely appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's kind of just get started. Laz kind of just gave a rundown for all of us, but Matt, so big thing, I guess, for people who are tuning in and who may know you from the gaming stadium, can you just kind of elaborate on what that is exactly and what kind of goals it plans to accomplish?
Sure. Yeah. Okay. So my position at the gaming stadium is I'm the VP of operations, and what I tell people is that as operations, I'm basically in charge of anything that doesn't have to do with marketing or business development. So in my case, that's pretty much planning all of our events, making sure our staffing's on point, and figuring out what games to run. So it's fun, but there's a lot of stress involved too in terms of trying to figure out how we plan to structure new things. And so I've been a TO for Hearthstone for a number of years, since about 2013. And I've run events from, lecture halls to comic book shops to casino ballrooms, hotel ballrooms. And, one of the challenges I've found is that venues are difficult to come by. There's always these physical requirements that were met. There's always power requirements that were a challenge, or internet or whatever. And so this opportunity came along to build a fully fledged gaming stadium. It's not like I want to stress that we want to distinguish ourselves, that it's not just another LAN center, because there's plenty of those around. What we're trying to do is we're trying to build like an esports community center where people can kind of come, and we'll host events on a regular recurring basis. It could be games like Hearthstone, Counter-Strike, or whatever. But I think the overall direction we're going is that we want to provide an esports space for players to grow. We want to give them a chance to succeed and have fun. And this doesn't necessarily apply to just players as well. There's always opportunities for people that want to get involved in esports from, I guess, a professional standpoint or from a production standpoint. So things like event management, things like casting, like you guys, stuff like that. So they're not every career track in esports has to be a streamer and go pro or whatever. There's always different threads that you can kind of navigate down, and that's kind of what the gaming stadium is about. It's basically, I guess, to distill it down in its unique form, it's just an esports community center, and we want to be here to help kind of propel esports into a new direction and give a place for people that want to advance, a place to do it. Very long-winded, I know. It's hard to kind of condense it. I have to kind of elaborate all the time.
Oh, it's good, man. That's great. More the better, man. That's great.
Yeah, that's my 5-minute elevator pitch, apparently.
No, it was really good. You delivered it very well.
Yeah.
I think you hit all the good points on it.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely I know I think for the three of us, when we first heard about it, it was like, wow, this is gonna be like a big thing. I think I first shared it with Laz, and I was like, dude, did you hear about this? And I was just like, it's crazy. It's crazy what you guys are thinking about doing.
Yeah, we still have a lot of work to do, though. Obviously, we just took possession of the building this week. Renovations will be starting soon, and then we have our grand opening slated for late April. And so a lot of things happening really fast now.
That's awesome. Now it's really exciting. So, kind of a question for me is, so how did you kind of get into the business side of this whole thing, or esports or gaming in its entirety?
Yeah. Okay. So I guess I'll start off from over 14 years ago. We'll start really from a professional standpoint. My background in esports was journalism. I played a lot of World of Warcraft, and I started a blog. It's still out there. It's called World of Matticus. You can still go there. It's still got stuff I've written from a decade ago, just talking about things like healing, how to tackle certain encounters, how to handle raid and guild management, and just like little things that no one was really talking about at the time. And nowadays, like you fast forward to today, you'll see videos on how to heal or how to play or how to do certain strategies or whatever. And I don't have the, I guess, technical skill set or the personality to do videos. I've always preferred writing and reading. So that's kind of where I stepped into that. And then, so I did the whole journalism thing for about 6 or so years. So we're at about 2013 now. And this little game called Hearthstone came out from Blizzard. And I also played a ton of Magic when I was younger, and I love card games. So right away, when I first got into Hearthstone, I noticed that, there's a lot of people that play Hearthstone, but there's no one that plays Hearthstone in person. And Blizzard started this program called Fireside Gatherings, which is just getting a group of people together to play some Hearthstone. And my first gathering had, I think, 4 players, and it was at the back of a comic book shop on Victoria Drive. And from there, it just kind of slowly grew. Like I would keep running one every month, and the shopkeepers didn't mind. They just charged like $2 a player, which is okay. Like
Wow.
$2 for like store credit, which went towards like drinks or Coke or whatever, chocolate bars and stuff like that. So, and then it got to the point where it just kind of kept growing and growing, and I started running 16-player tournaments, then 24, then it went to 32. The most I ever had was a 48-player tournament, but this one was I started getting offers from like Blizzard to run a qualifier up here or to run tournaments at a larger scale to represent players in the Northwest. So that happened back in I think 2016. And I've just been doing Hearthstone tournaments for a long time. So that's kind of where my reputation in the community came from. Is I would always work and run stuff work with UBC Esports or SFU Esports to run, day-long Swiss tournaments for people, just people that loved Hearthstone.
Just a quick question, but how long did it take for you to kind of grow those numbers? Like,
oh my God, years.
Years?
Tournament, like my first event had 4 players, right? After that, it was about the next month after that, we had about maybe 8 or 10 or whatever it was. It wasn't until 3 months later that we started getting about 16 to 20 players consistently showing up for tournaments. And it was just kind of like word of mouth. And what sucked is that I did too good of a job, and no one else wanted to run tournaments in the area anymore because, when you're so good at something, no one else will do it because they're like, well, I can't match up to this guy, right? Mm-hmm. So I kind of had a monopoly on it, but I'm like, no, I need more people to run tournaments and stuff, so to give me a break and so that I can play in them. That's the downside. If I run Hearthstone tournaments, I can't compete. So I all this time, I could have been like a professional player, and I would never know now because I was too busy running these. Yeah, so that's So based on my experience there, we're now in the, I guess, literally a year ago, 2018 February. My CEO Dan messaged me out of the blue, and he talked to me about the gaming stadium concept and what he wanted to do. And he actually came out to one of my tournaments out in UBC that day. So I sat there and I kind of reviewed the plans with him. I told him, like, look, man, there's a lot of things here that won't work because players, you can't expect players to pay this amount of money to go traveling to here without something going back the other way, and all that stuff. Like, how do you combat the online stigma of, I would rather play games from home than go to a physical location to compete in a tournament. So there has to be something that has to entice and influence players to do that, because otherwise it's not going to happen, especially when it's a business model that's predicated on players showing up physically on location. And it's hard to kind of combat that desire of just, you get to sit at home, you get to be in your PJs on your console or whatever, right? On your own comfortable PC. So we had to kind of navigate some of those challenges, and we kind of worked our way through it. Mm-hmm. And we just kind of went back and forth until one day we secured our first round of investor funding, and that kind of gave me the option to leave my old job and get this thing off the ground, hopefully. Yeah. A lot of work.
Cool. Yeah, it's really cool though. What did you do before, like when you were working?
My job previous to this, I was with the government. I worked in the IT sector. I worked at IBM for about 6 years, handling escalation requests. So anytime a computer was about to explode, or someone lost a laptop or whatever, like that stuff came to me, and I had to do my best to kind of resolve it. So it was very high pressure, high. You had to be quick, and you had to kind of make up the rules as you go, because there's no right or wrong answer to everything. So I think that experience exactly it kind of suits the esports space, because there's no clearly defined rules. It's just make it work. Right? Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, well, I guess I mean, it's pretty apparent from your background, but what games, I guess, for you personally interest you, and what game do you think the TGS is going to start attracting?
Okay, so basically, games that have strong social followings, or that can create strong social followings, are the games that we want to target. Like at the end of the day, we want people to hang out in our stadium and get to know other players that are just like them, and to kind of grow the community and reinforce what's already there. So things like solo play games, they're not probably like they may not be like our initial offering, but we want to focus more towards team-based games if possible. We want people to kind of play alongside other players and see each other, and just kind of get them to socialize and get them to meet other people, because it's a different experience when you're playing with people live as opposed to being behind a screen all the time in your room or whatever. So as much as I hate saying Fortnite, like Fortnite is a great example. It's got a strong population. It's a lot of solo play, but there's also a lot of squad play and duo play. So it's very flexible in terms of programming that we can do. Counter-Strike's another big one. I personally love Counter-Strike. I played it for a number of years, and the community's been around for 2 decades now, give or take. So yeah, exactly. So like it's already established. Games obviously like League of Legends, Dota, Overwatch, those are all games you want to hit up as well.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out one thing, like in terms of Fortnite, just like for anybody who's gamed, I guess for all of our generations at this point, like back then when you basically would only have one computer and then you'd have your friends come over and watch, I feel like that's like what Fortnite's turned into on Twitch.
Yeah.
Right? It's basically tons and tons of people. Like obviously you can't have them all in your room, so that's why you have a Twitch channel basically, right? Like that's what it is at scale now. So I just find that like really cool, that base idea of what it used to be like when we were younger has just evolved into something so big now that it's just like everybody's free to watch somebody play basically.
Yeah, back in my day, people would come over to watch me play Warcraft too.
Yeah. It's so true. Like I even think, like, to further go on that point, is that when I was younger and I watched my brother play like anything, like he used to be like a really good RTS player, so he played Warcraft 3, and I would just sit there and watch him forever. Like it was great. Like I just learned, and I was like, oh, that's really cool, and it was like it's just enjoyable. Like I don't know, and that's exactly what Twitch is. It's just like that experience, but you get to watch somebody like so good, or whether they're really social and have a community. That's the best part of it too, right? So
you get to watch guys like us.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
The awesome people. Yeah, exactly. Really? So
yeah, and eventually, like, yeah, it's just crazy how things can kind of start, like, especially when you kind of look at the growth of streamers as well. Like, I don't know if Laz or Persian, if you guys remember when Summit first started. Like, I remember the days when he only had like 30 viewers, and he'd cast he'd stream like a ESCA invite match back then, right? And that was like the only time he'd hit 100 viewers. And then today he's got like tens of thousands of viewers all the time, right? Yeah, like that's just crazy.
Yeah, he somebody I think posted or like had a screenshot of when he was he posted on ESCA like, oh hey, I'm streaming Pugs, like come watch my channel. And it was like an ESCA post, and everyone was trolling him, and he had no one watching him at the time. Yeah,
wow.
Look at him now.
Dedication. yeah. Ninja, he started on Justin TV. He was like grinding the whole time, doing like Halo and all those other games.
And that's the thing, like people think it like happens overnight, or like it happens within this short amount of time, and it doesn't. Like these are people that have been around forever. Like, I mean, it's the same thing, like Matt kind of said, like, I mean, CS has been around for like 2 decades, and I feel like I've been almost there for a lot of that time. But it's crazy though. Like there's just, you see the people that are pros now, and like I remember playing against them and they weren't even that good, and you're like, how are you a pro? But like, it's, like it's crazy. So
but what happened to you though? Laz, come on, you could have been just like them. You could have been good.
I mean, You played on a team with JDM and NAF, both pro players now. So
I'm gonna say. Yeah, exactly. And that's it. Yeah, and kind of the
Pikachu
same
face.
thing. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I just yeah. Anyways, that's a whole other ball game.
That's
just
so
every
sad.
lane.
It's like, why'd you
Like,
have to
I
bring
got
that
no
up?
answer. I got nothing for that one.
Next question.
Next one, moving along. I'll take this one because you did make a comment that you have a bit of a CS background.
Yeah.
So did you like compete, or were you just more of a pub player?
Oh,
like...
bro. Okay. This may not look like the face of a Counter-Strike 1.6 Cal P player, but at one point I was a Counter-Strike 1.6 Cal P player.
Nice.
Way back in the day, yeah, like 2000.
1.6, good game.
1.6, yeah, back in like 03, 04 or whatever. This is when when the MP5 was in the game. There was this gun called the MP5, had 30 rounds, was like probably quite possibly like one of my favorite guns. It was like the most balanced gun in the game, IMO. They brought it back?
Yeah, they brought it back, but with a silencer on it.
What? Why? That's so weird.
I don't know.
They
Changes
love
the recoil.
silencers.
Oh my
Yeah.
god. Yeah. Is it for both sides now or no?
Yeah, both
Yeah.
sides.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Yeah. Anyways, yeah. So that was kind of my background. I played Counter Strike for the better part of my youth, before I got addicted to the drug that is World of Warcraft. Yeah, and I competed in Cal Central because most of my friends were like we were either Northwest or Central, and that was like we had better pings going to Chicago than we did to whatever was on the West Coast in LA or something stupid at the time. Yeah, it was so dumb. Yeah, so I played for like a long time, worked way from open to main, and I kind of miss Cal, but I know there were a lot of problems that it had back in the day. But it was a predecessor. I think it opened the way for a lot of the leagues that we now know today.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, it's so funny too because like it was for free, right? Like it
was.
Even, like you didn't make money. It was all about pride.
It was
like,
passion. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. That's the best part, right?
Better
Like,
than you, I'm KLP.
yeah, exactly. Like, it was like a status thing, man. Like,
Yeah.
if you were like Cal P, like people were like, "Man, you're good." Like,
Well, if
you're
you
a
made
good
Cal
player.
Invite, you're like, wow, this team's legit. They're in Invite division. Like, wow, no one gets in the Invite unless they're Invite.
Yeah.
Shocker, right?
Did you ever were there any LANs at that time? Like
LAN-
as a Cal P, like LAN tournaments or like things
Yeah,
to go to?
we had a couple of LAN tournaments up here. Like, honestly, like I didn't actually play as often as I wanted to, but it's okay. I was like the sixth player on the roster, so whatever. They would bring me in for every like couple of matches if someone couldn't make it that day.
Mm-hmm.
I think my finest moment was getting an MP5 ace on an eco round.
Nice.
That was my
Those are
finest moment. Yeah, I remember like it was yesterday. Dust 2. I was on short A. I dropped a flashbang and went B tunnels because someone was like, they're in B tunnels, but they're not coming out. So I'm like, oh, they must be attempting to rotate over. So I dropped a flash, and boom, they're lined up perfectly.
I love that.
So
Those are
yeah,
good.
one clip. Yeah, that was my finest moment. Then I just kind of sucked that for the rest of the round.
Nah, that's pretty sweet though.
But yeah, like, yeah, I don't know. It's 1.6 was one of those games where you have fond memories of it. You kind of wish it was still around, but Global Offensive is obviously the more superior game. As much as I hate to admit it.
Me too.
Yeah, this whole op thing with the, I want to see today's operas play back in 1.6 when they didn't have that whole. What is it when you like the scope kind of has to
Blurring?
focus? Yeah, the blur thing.
Yeah,
like,
Blur, oh yeah. That's
So
totally
bad.
forgot about that now. Like it goes been
that
out for
didn't
so
used to be a
long.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Back in my day,
Yeah,
when the
right.
Desert Eagle was even amazing, you could use that and beating people from across the map or whatever. Yeah. So I forgot what we were talking about. What were we talking about?
No, we're just talking about your CS background.
Yeah,
and
yeah, that's
you're
right.
Just kind of
It's kind of went off on a random tangent. Yeah, it's yeah, Counter-Strike was a lot of fun. I just played it too long. It's like for in terms of LANs though, I don't think Vancouver was around back then. It was getting started later.
I mean, you said 2003, right? So
2000, like
yeah.
02, 03, 04, something like that.
There was a 1.6 LAN back then, which was called VS LAN. So like versus LAN.
Was that where EG started from?
I don't think it was.
Stevenson?
No, I don't think it was there.
Okay.
They were with a different team.
It was around that area though, right? Like
Yeah,
it was,
I think so.
they were northwestish.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
were. Yeah,
Yeah.
and they it was like a small LAN center, and it was literally like I can't even. It'd be like a row of computers like this way, and then like right behind you is another row of computers.
Yeah,
and,
yeah,
like
yeah.
you could barely move. Like it was
Yeah.
terrible, but it was awesome. Like it was like the
For
best
sure.
event. If one of those was going on, you're like, I have to go. To
You
this.
got to go. Yeah. I remember that. man. But yeah, we had we didn't have a lot of lands, and obviously you couldn't run at school because it was too violent or whatever. The teachers would never let you do. So we were stuck playing like Warcraft 2 or StarCraft or Warcraft 3. Sorry, yeah.
Good game also.
Yeah. Oh, very good game. Yeah.
Kind of just to expand a little bit on the CS stuff, like
absolutely.
Since you're in the operations side of the TGS, was it you that kind of like pushed this thing to kind of get the attention like with you guys, like with going into TGS, or was it your CEO, or was it just kind of based on the social population?
I think it was a combination of both. When I was directed to come up with a list of initial titles to offer, Counter-Strike was already quite high on my list based on my knowledge of the game, and I knew that the community here existed, even though I wasn't personally invested. Like I didn't really attend the LANs as much because I didn't want to lug my computer all the way to UBC to attend one of Danny's LANs or whatever. Hell no, man, no way. And I knew it would get destroyed, so there's no chance of that happening. But yeah, like I think Counter-Strike was a big part of my life, and this is like kind of a way for me to kind of give back to the next generation and provide a place where up and coming Counter-Strike players could kind of hone their craft a bit and maybe win another title or two in the next couple of years. And I could say, hey, the team that won whatever LAN, they've been practicing. They started the roots in TGS, so that's kind of what we want to do.
Yeah, there's been definitely a lot of players that are like that Laz can definitely talk about later, but in this particular area. So yeah, no,
sure.
definitely for sure.
Maybe one day we'll just get a pub server or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
we're talking about setting up like a TGS pubs, like a 32.
If you need an admin, I'll be there. Okay.
32 slot pub server. I think it's 24/7 Scout Snipe. Is Scout Snipe still a thing or no? Is that?
It was, but it's not as big anymore.
Oh man,
yeah.
But it's a thing. It's a thing.
It's depressing. Is it all aim maps now or whatever? Or?
It's more like death matches, retake servers, and like execute servers. It's totally different today.
Man. Did you guys?
The main one.
Was there a Warcraft 3? Was there like ever a Warcraft 3 mod server for Global Offensive or no?
I don't think so. I was just about to bring that up. Was
there? Warcraft 3 server was awesome back in the day.
They're kind of around, but they're not that big. Like not as big as when it was around in Source.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, or even 1.6.
Yeah. It was huge. I remember
like those games, like all those little mods.
Yeah, you had like chain lightning and like grenades did like 400 damage or something. It was insane.
Yeah. Oh man,
bring that back.
Should do a 1.6 tournament. Throwback.
I'm there. Boy. I'm there.
That could be a good idea in the future. Honestly,
man.
I think people would come back for that.
Do we have hardware that can run stuff that old though? I don't know.
No, you can run it.
You can still play 1.6 today. Yeah.
Oh, okay,
it's
that's good.
Possible.
It's so funny because like my roommate and I actually were playing, and like I remember back in the day, the smokes were just so insane. You're like, I can't see through anything, but now like you can literally see right through them because they're just so terrible, and you're like, oh, these are pointless. Like,
how did I not see through this earlier?
Yeah, you're like, what the heck? Yeah,
technology evolved that much.
Oh, I know. Just makes it look like a hazy like thing on your screen. You're like, oh dear.
Yeah.
Man, I'm so glad they added the MP5 back. I'm gonna have to replay this game again.
Yeah, it doesn't feel the same as it used to though.
Oh,
like back in 1.6 or so, it doesn't feel the same way. But
is it just not enough power per hit, or like?
No, I think in terms of damage and stuff, it's still pretty similar, but it just doesn't feel the same. I don't know if Laz and Persian
recoil or
what version of CS were you playing? Because they did modify it in I think 1.5 and 1.6.
Yeah, I played 1.4, 1.5, 1.6. Yeah.
Oh, okay, because there was a time where the MP5 was like a gun that people were using often.
Yeah, they pick it over rifles, which confused me.
Exactly. Then they like nerfed it, and then they made it like worse and worse, and then they kind of fit this niche of like, oh, it's really good against people without armor. So it was used as like an eco gun. Yeah. But that's kind of what it is still now. It's like just used to like wipe people out eco-wise. Yeah, so it's not that dream gun anymore.
How about the P90? Is that still good?
P90?
Yeah, it has its purposes.
That's a trick question. It was never good.
It has its purposes.
There was a point where it was like literally what everyone used. It was so annoying. Like you just run around spraying the whole time, and it was just like,
just
man,
rush some direction.
Early go days.
The early go days where Valve was just like, oh, let's make this ridiculously good. You're like, okay, cool.
Vancouver 2012, man. That's what your team and JDM's team. You guys are just both using P90s basically here.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I think I was like one of the only people that was like staying true to the rifles. I was like, no, I gotta use an M4. Everyone's just running around P90.
That's depressing.
Yeah, but I mean, those are back.
CZ
That was back then. So
CZ
not
also
so much
had
anymore.
a moment in a tournament. Apparently, was that with you, Laz?
Yeah.
That you were at one of the tournaments, and when the CZ like first came out, and it had like the instant come out or whatever, like it would
Yeah.
instantly pull out.
So that's so Matt, just for reference, like this is it's like an automatic pistol,
Yeah.
and it just shoots so fast, like it's like a mini rifle. It's ridiculous. But
As a
I played
pistol?
lantern, yeah, as a pistol, and it's called the CZ75. It was literally the most insane thing you could ever have. And I played a LAN tournament, and like the team we played against was like my old teammates, some of them, and yeah, they just ran around just.
Oh, that
CZing
gun.
us.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was the most depressing thing. Like you would just see them like running and shooting us, and I was like, this is so stupid. Like, and I just couldn't use it. I was just like, I'm too proud to use this. Like, and then
Oh,
they just
man.
beat us. So that's just a part
Your
of me
pride
that day.
cost you that game,
It
man.
did, yeah, it really did. Part of me died that day. I was like, this is just, oh no.
Actually, we do have some people talking in the chat, so I just want to bring up that if any of you guys have questions, make sure to ask it, and we'll talk about it here if that's what you guys want to hear. So just a heads up. But anyways, on that CZ thing, Laz, do you remember at that tournament, GameClux 2015? I don't remember what year it was anymore, but do you remember that one LAN where Tux, Oso, and those guys played against JDM, Semphis, and I forget who else was on their team. But then, like, on Nuke, all they did was buy CZs, and they won the game. Do you remember that?
Yeah. I remember Tux telling me about that story. He's like, yeah, it was broken. I mean, why wouldn't I use it? And then they were like,
They just
And
bought
Nuke's-
CZs the whole game. They won it somehow. It's just like,
Oh, it was brutal. I actually watched. So yeah, I was at that event, got knocked out, and then I watched, and
yeah,
and I was sitting behind like JDM's team, and they were so mad. Like
yeah.
any corner they went around, like dead, instant dink, and like just they were so mad. Like I've never seen Semphis so frustrated. I've seen him at so many lands, and he was like, "This is so stupid. Like we can't do anything against this." And Nuke's like a close quarter map, so it was like it was just it was so OP.
It was probably the first time I've
Okay.
seen JDM mad too. Like normally he's
Yeah.
a pretty chill guy, and I was like, Jesus, he's actually getting mad over
Yeah,
this.
JDM is literally the chillest player I've ever met in my life, and that
Until
game, like he
Yeah.
had to go outside. He's like, I'm so mad. Like he was so mad. He was just fuming about it. I was like, oh man.
Yeah, so we have one question here from Norms. Shout out to my man from SFU. He's asking, is TGS planning on working with any collegiate teams?
Yes.
Matt, maybe you can answer that since there's some
Absolutely,
news.
yes. Yeah, we want to work with collegiate teams because we know that, I guess once you leave the collegiate space, once you graduate, where else are you really going to go for like esports stuff, right? So we kind of want to be a place for where students, like once they're done with a program or whatever, they still have that itch for esports. They can still come and hang out at the stadium. So cultivating that collegiate relationship is absolutely important. I'm personally in conversations with people from both UBC and SFU Esports. We've been talking to a couple of other institutions like BCIT, LaSalle College. So if there's anyone listening from like Langara or Douglas or Cap, by all means, drop me a line. I've been doing some searching. I don't think you guys have esports clubs that exist, or they're maybe not as focused. I don't know. So, but yeah, like the collegiate relationship is important for us.
Oh, that's
Mhm.
great.
Yeah.
We I mean, for people that don't, so I was gonna say, sorry, for people that don't know, like both Mahone and I cast for the collegiate leagues right now, so it is interesting to see those guys competing, and it's such a big league now. I remember when Mahone was actually competing years ago, or a few years ago, doing that, and just seeing the talent and like the number of teams that are in this is huge, and I think it's a really good way for teams to streamline into like more afterwards to school. Yeah, so it's really cool that TGS is taking advantage of that, and I think it's a really good market, especially for players too, because you have all the games there and you have all the audience.
Yeah. And even if they're still in school, like something like an idea like I've been kicking around is, I know CSL is ongoing, but something we'd like to do is, if we have the dates figured out, maybe one day we can get like the CSL teams to come and compete from our stadium, and even you guys would come and cast from like our facility too, right? At some point in the future, like once we're up and running. So I think that'd be a pretty cool experience, right? So for both the players and all that stuff, not everyone's going to get a chance to appear on some big stage internationally in a tournament. So this is kind of like a way for people here locally to get a glimpse of what it's like to be on stage with all these people watching you and cheering for you and all that.
Yeah, definitely.
It's truly a cool experience. Like, I mean, I think actually all three of us, we all played in the same tournament against each other. Well, Persian and I were together. I don't want to talk about that tournament, Danny. I don't even feel good about it. Don't feel good about it. But I mean, it honestly was like the coolest feeling. Like, I mean, I've been to like 20 LAN events. I actually counted. It's pretty.
That's it? Only 20?
That's pretty good, man.
Yeah.
Man, back in the day, like I didn't have a car
It was
and stuff.
scarce. It was scarce.
It was,
back then.
like honestly, it was like 2 events a year, like maybe if you're lucky. And then now with Go, it's just like blowing
There's
up.
something every month or whatever. It seems
Yeah, like it's like almost every like few weeks or a month. You're like, oh, I can go to this tournament. But the one LAN we went to, which was called Godicon, that was out in Victoria, BC.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they were like a big comic convention. They had everything. They had games, they had board games, they had like what was it? Cosplay. No, was it cosplay? Is that right, Persian?
Yeah.
What?
The cosplay stuff?
Yeah,
where
they had a contest for that.
They had the miniatures. Yeah, they had everything.
They had a bunch of different stuff. Yeah,
they had like card games. They had everything. Anything like nerd related. They had right
board
as
games,
far as like that stuff.
Science fiction, fantasy, all that stuff.
Exactly, all that good stuff.
What I was gonna say is like they right before they were done like their last year, they had the CS:GO tournament on a stage, and they had like casters like in a booth. They had everything. It was like the full experience, and it was like the coolest thing. And it's kind of cool to hear that you're saying like, oh, like we want that opportunity for these players to experience that, because it's honestly the coolest feeling. Like I can't even put it into words. Like it was so fun. Like beating Mahone on LAN.
Yeah, it's never going to happen again, right? Yeah.
No, exactly. Yeah, he's so much better than me. So it was like, yes.
Well, to be fair, you lost when it mattered, so.
Well, you cheated, so whatever, dude. Rig the system.
Like when I started competing in like different games, like I never got the experience to go to when I went to SFU, there was never an esports club or anything like that. So this is just kind of my way of passing that torch on to the next generation and providing an avenue for players to get opportunities that I never had in esports. Mm-hmm. But maybe one day we'll have like an over 30, over 40, or over 35, whatever CS:GO league that I can join or something like that. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah. I played on 1.6 too, just for good measure.
I have a question in regards. You're talking a lot about like a facility, right? Which is amazing, which is actually missing in a lot of places. Like we had the Dota thing going on, international. And then I think you guys. I remember hearing about you guys around that time, or a little.
That's when we made our announcement. Yeah, just prior to it. Yep.
Yeah, and then going to that.
We timed
Dota
it strategically.
It was smart. Smart. Because I didn't believe it, honestly. So my girlfriend had told me, oh, hey, this thing's happening. Yeah. I didn't believe it. I was like, what? No, come on.
I know. It's too good to be true. I know.
Exactly. It's too good to be true. And you're kind of like, this seems like kind of like one of those things that you're like testing the water to see what the reaction is. And then you go to an event like the International, and then you go, wow, we could have something like this happening like more frequently here in in BC, I should say.
Exactly.
Actually, travel there. It sounds amazing. But besides that, have you guys thought about maybe having your own teams? Or is that way down? Okay.
No, absolutely yes. So we actually have sponsorships right now with a number of players in the FGC community. Captain L and like Locust, they're like some of our top Smash players. So we sponsor. We have an ongoing partnership with Street Fighter V player Justin Wong. He's very, very well known around the world internationally. A number of titles. Yeah. So and at the same time though, we've also signed some players in like the anime fighting games like Blaze Blue and all that stuff too, and Tekken as well. But we're also cognizant of the fact that we don't want to be known as just an FGC organization too. So we're actively exploring opportunities to work with like Counter-Strike teams or League of Legends teams or Overwatch teams or whatever. And like for us, like our MO is we want to provide opportunities for local players and local teams to maybe attend LAN events or provide them with some kind of resource to go compete at an event they otherwise normally could not go to or whatever, right? And in exchange, we ask for there's certain conditions that have to be met. Obviously, you have to be, good at the game. Sorry, Laz. But yeah.
Dude,
That's my cast now. Okay, like,
Yeah,
Oh
exactly.
my god.
Yeah.
Have you seen him play or something? Is that why you're taking all these shots, or is this like just common knowledge now?
I can't take shots in games, so I take shots at Laz. Right? That's how it works.
fair enough.
But yeah, like seriously, like teams are something that we're actively looking to engage in. So if you happen to be like a local Counter-Strike team or local Overwatch team in the Vancouver area, definitely reach out and we'll have it about that, and we can kind of discuss some possibilities in that regard. But definitely having some teams that we can call part of the TGS brand is something that we want to do. And it's not like a super exclusive thing too. We know that eventually players and teams will go professional, maybe they make it big to the majors or whatever, and they're going to want to get like a larger sponsorship deal. That's okay. At the end of the day, we want to be able to hang like from the rafters, like, hey, these players started off at the stadium and they competed here first, and we helped kind of grow and develop these guys to what they are today.
100%.
So that's kind of what we want to do. Like the Burnaby Winter Club, right? If you go there, you'll see some like banners of former NHLers, like I don't know, like Joe Sakic or whoever else. Like he has a street named after him, and like, other prominent NHLers, I can say they got their start at the Burnaby Winter Club, and that's kind of what we want to do here.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
Maybe
I wish you guys were around when I was playing.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe it lasts. Maybe it'd be a good time to just kind of talk about your experience with big time players like NAF and JDM and how they started here, because it could be a good story to kind of talk about.
Oh my god.
You don't have to.
No, that's fine. I'm just trying to make sure I word this right. Okay, so we'll start with JDM, I guess. So actually, for most people that play CS, they probably know who JDM 64 or JDM the VBAT thing or whatever that ridiculous thing is. Anyway, he actually competed against us at a Source LAN in Vancouver, which was called Vancouver
2012.
Yeah, Vancouver. Okay. So, anyways, he was playing with a bunch of big names or decent names in the community. He actually got knocked out, but he was like a crazy good player. Like you could tell he was a good opper. He obviously wasn't as good as he is now, but you could just tell. You're like, this guy's pretty
good. Potential, yeah. When you just watch him play, you could tell.
Tons of potential. And later down the road, the event goes through, and he's actually teamless. And he's like, he made a post about wanting to play with people and like just kind of getting more in the community. And I know my teammates probably will never admit this because they never like to admit I'm right. But I actually reached out to him and said, like, come play with us. Like, we've already met him. Things, everybody like meets up with him and we like him. And then eventually we start playing with him. He carries us for like 3 seasons in IM. It was great. And then he eventually, he was significantly better. He was so good. Like, it was stupid. Like,
so I don't know that much about JDM. What made him an amazing player? Was it just like mechanics or like tactical, like game sense, or what was it that made him stand out to you?
Well, I mean, the opper is like a crucial role, right? Like the one shot hit with sniper rifle.
That's your quarterback, right?
Yeah, he literally was like, I mean, for any Patriots fans, like he was like the Tom Brady on our team. Like he just carried us so hard, and he like landed like 3Ks and 4Ks and pretty much fed us rounds all the time. Like we'd purposely buy him an op and everybody would save or something just because we were like, he's gonna win this. Like he's so good.
Feed him the op.
Yeah, literally feed him. And he was just so consistent, and you could tell he was hungry to learn and get better and play. But
did you guys
all around?
Did you guys design strats around him, like just playing the op? Like literally, like that's what you did? Like protect him, right? At all costs.
Yeah, so it was him and like one of my really good friends, Reese. Yeah. They're both like the best fraggers on our team. So we made sure both of them had like the guns pretty much. I was pretty much the bitch boy, which just like gave everyone all the guns and did all the.
So it was like 4-on-5 pretty much for.
I was pretty useless. I just threw nades. I'm like, here, I'm gonna do this, and hopefully you get like 3 kills.
Last we did a flash over the wall. Do it now.
No. He's in there, whatever, dude. But it's all good.
He was good. He was solid.
But anyway.
So I'm just trying to think in my head. Like, so how did you guys gain entry into like bomb sites if he was primarily like on opping duty and stuff like that?
Well, like one of us would go in and he would like trade frag, right? So whether we get the person or not, like he would immediately be there. And
so they would bait for him pretty much.
Yeah. I mean, there's actually a video on my ESA profile, and he's single-handedly like running out and just doing all the work. Like he's getting the entries. Like it's ridiculous.
Gotcha.
Like he's running. He's just like boom, boom, boom. You're like, this is crazy.
Ridiculous.
Like how is this even possible?
Yeah.
But anyways, kind of the moral of the story is like he played with us for a while, and then it got to a point where he actually got kind of scouted in a way by like a well-known Northwest player. His name's Ocean, and he had a team called Sapphire Kelowna for a long time, or STL now. And it was his first chance to play in a like pro league or like the invite level. So he wanted to go, and we were like, yeah, do it, 100% go. Like you've carried us along enough, so we've had a fun.
Be free.
Be free. Just don't forget us, okay?
Yeah.
And I remember he got signed by CLG, and we were just like, the group chat was just going off, because this was like just when orgs were coming into the game, and money was flying through, and he was
a big deal.
It was huge. Like we were like, man, this guy's gonna be a pro. Like if he keeps playing the way he's playing, and he did, and yeah, now he's a big name upper. And he is pretty well known. And then I'll try to make the story not as boring, but I another LAN event. I don't know if you know
Same LAN
NAF.
event.
Same LAN event, but different year.
No, same year actually.
Oh, same year. No, wait, was it?
It was. Yeah, it was.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, same year. Yeah, you're right. Sorry. So actually, a guy named Naf, he was super young. I don't know, he would have been like 13
He was
or
like 13. No. I think he was 14 at the time. Yeah.
So anyways, he's like an online superstar, like unreal talent, like unreal. And there was so much speculation in the community, like, well, people are like, oh, he's so online, he's probably just like cheating or whatever. We had a conversation with him, and he was like our friend's younger brother, and we somehow convinced him to come because we knew he was going to go pro. He was pretty much getting signed up to play pro, and we were like, man, come to this LAN, like get some LAN experience, get the nerves out of the way, you like just play for fun and carry us, and hopefully we can win. And then we met his mom, had the whole, meet the older guys. That's
and side note, the funniest thing is that his brother also played in this tournament. He played on my team, so it was kind of weird because like me and Laz, we played against each other. He had one brother, or he had Naf, and I had his brother basically. Yeah. So it was so weird.
It was the best, and it was weird too because like it would be like so Trick Systems was the guy with Danny. So it'd be Trick Systems, his mom, and then Naf, and then we'd be all hanging out. And she's like, so wait, you guys are playing against each other? And then they're like, yeah, okay. And it was good. It was just good banter. But yeah, and then he went to that LAN. We won it. Sorry, Danny, about that, by the way. And then he went pro, and then he was like one of the best players, and now he's like top
number 6,
top 5. Yeah,
ranked
top
number
6.
6 last year for
top 6 in the world.
Yeah.
Wow.
Which is crazy.
And I got to take him to his first LAN, so accomplishments there. Just kidding, but yeah, no. So it was cool. Got to play with like a couple pros that were now big names in the community, and they probably forgot about me, but yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Yeah, it's like I was just gonna say that, like, yeah, I remember playing against Naf in that particular LAN. That guy was a nut. Like, I knew he was good. I knew he was really good. But, like, some of the things that he pulled off were just, like, whenever he was, like, in a 1v3 situation, we'd still lose the round. It was just so, I guess you could say, tilting at the time to just basically be losing to one guy. Like, that's what it felt like. We were just losing to one guy. It was crazy.
It was great. Yeah. No, it felt good to beat Danny again. Just put him back in his place where he thought he was on top. And I was like, no.
Sit down.
Not today, Danny. Not today. I mean, we have the way that Danny and I met was actually probably the best story because we scared his team. I mean, I'll be really quick. We went to the GodCon event, actually. I think it was their first one or whatever.
Yeah.
Victoria, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Victoria.
It was the very first one where they held a CS tourney, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And for any of the Danny fans in here, this will be good for you. I mean, I think Danny made a reputation for myself, unfortunately, but my team is full of 1.6ers, so we literally never played Go. We went from 1.6 straight to this game, and we're like, oh, okay, let's just try this, I guess. So nobody knew who we were. We were like these older guys that were just playing. And then Danny's team is called the Veterans of the Game.
Yes.
So we play Danny's team. Danny's team's the team to beat. They're mow you down. They're the champs. They're so good. And we're looking at them. We're like, you know what, man? Nah, we're gonna beat them. We're gonna crush these kids. Luckily enough, we got to sit like we sat on one row and they sat on the other side of us, ahead of us. Like we were like face to face on each other. And I distinctively remember both my teammate Reese and I would like physically stand up and like scream and talk shit the entire time we made a big round. And they like their faces were like they were just like, what is happening? And like we crushed them and they were like, who are these guys? And then and then Danny's like, nah, dude, they're 1.6ers. They're so good.
So this is the fine art of like, I guess, psychological warfare at play here, just intimidating your opponent. You don't have to outskill your opponent, just like scare them.
That was literally my job. 100% my job.
Just yelling at the other team. This is what providing the LAN experience is going to be like.
Matt, I will send you a very embarrassing video of me.
Yeah.
Like shit talking in a LAN.
Okay.
And
can I use that for like our future marketing materials?
Should I play this? Can you link it?
Yeah, I can link it.
Oh my god.
I didn't swear, which is good. I just said the same thing over and over. I was so hopped up in Red Bull, it was ridiculous.
I think I have it still. I'll play it for the stream.
Oh god.
Dude, crank it.
I'll play it for the stream. I can full screen it too.
Oh great. This will be so much fun. So everybody just remember I was like it was like 2 a.m. I was drinking a lot of Red Bull. I was in the zone. I actually was playing really well, so I was really excited. But anyways, go ahead.
Hear anything? Okay.
It's really low, so you're gonna have to crank it.
Hey, hold on.
Dude, that's JDM right now on the screen. He's just running around. He's like, oh yeah, hang on, 2 or 3. He's just doing his thing. It's just, oh god, it's just too good.
Fucking go! Right now! You get my up? Oh no!
This is all me, by the way.
Trash, baby! Yeah, baby! Oh, baby!
You still had facial hair back then.
Oh, fuck yeah! Boy's so mad! Oh!
Oh,
Nice, Mason! Oh no! Yes!
Oh man, that's hilarious though. That is actually hilarious.
Where's Danny in that video?
No, I wasn't at that LAN, unfortunately. I dodged him.
You got knocked out. No, I'm just kidding. You didn't.
I actually wasn't there. Yeah, but no, yeah, for sure. Like Laz is definitely Laz's scream has had an impact on what I do at LANs now. I used to be pretty quiet, but after that one LAN, yeah, I've decided to be louder. And
You got to bring that back during the podcast. Just actually make a soundboard with just Laz.
I should, yeah. I don't know why I said "oh baby" so many times. I was just like in the zone, like it was crazy.
I mean, I think like back then it was "oh baby." Like today, it's like "let's go" or like whatever.
And that's
you
like
should bring back
that's a
the
light
"oh, baby."
version. Yeah, I should. That's actually like the lightest version of like crap talk or like shit talking I have.
Yeah, you should have
Like,
seen Laz at GodaCon 2015 when he's screaming through that curtain.
There's like a curtain in between us, so there's like a row of computers, curtain, his row of computers, and I literally am standing there screaming at this curtain, and I'm just like talking shit, and they can see me through it, and I see them looking at me like,
who is this guy?
Who is this guy? And I'm just like, whoa, you guys are so bad. I'm just like, okay. But
Of course, you didn't get yelled at by the admin or anything.
I know. Well, the casters would always make a comment. They were just like, "Oh, you can hear Laz just doing his thing again."
Laz must have had a big round.
Yeah.
Or a not big round. I don't know. You might just keep yelling no matter what happens.
Oh man, the shots are fired.
Too easy.
I just want to clarify. Laz has been playing really good on her like for fun team this season. So good job, Laz. Where to start?
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. It's good support. But we'll
get
kind
back in this game.
dude. Oh man, it's so
I
fun.
know. I need somebody to
I
carry
didn't
me out of
compete
silver.
forever. It's so much fun. Like I'm like, oh man, I remember that feeling. It's so good. But yeah, try it out.
I'm just scared to jump into matchmaking. I always preferred like the big 24 player servers and just I'll just go with the flow and hopefully blend in.
No, they do. The ranking system's pretty good for the most part. Like you'll play with like people your level, and then you'll be like better, and you're like, oh, these kids are so bad. And
So, you mean you and I will matchmake together at some point?
yeah, potentially.
Oh,
Yeah.
awesome.
Oh yeah. But I mean, to kind of shift this back towards some of the questions, I guess. So I guess it sounds like with the TGS, you guys are going to potentially like sponsor teams and players eventually down the road. You guys are hosting tournaments with the collegiate stuff.
Yep.
I guess kind of a question. I don't know if you quite answered it, but are you guys planning on like being a host for any of the big name lands? Like, are you thinking? I don't know if you know DreamHack or ESL or. You guys...
Yeah, like, okay, so right now we're building a temporary facility first while our new one is being constructed. So that's going to be about 20 to 24 months. So, 2 years, 2.5 years possibly from like now till when the new build. The temporary stadium, we'll only have it for like a little while, and like our maximum capacity is about 200 people. So unfortunately, we're not in a position to execute a DreamHack level event at the stadium. However, that does not mean we can't run one at like a Richmond Convention Center or the Vancouver Convention Center downtown. As a matter of fact, like on July 5th and July 7th, we're hosting a 3-day FGC tournament, and we expect to draw about 900 players for that one alone.
Wow.
So obviously it's different logistical challenges when it comes to Counter-Strike. We would love to run like a large PC-based line in the Northwest, don't get me wrong. But now it's like logistical hurdles, like things like, okay, where are we going to get X many computers, or what facility can we like rent that can accommodate our power needs? What facility is going to shut off the power at exactly 12 a.m.? Like these kind of factors come to play here, and unfortunately, there's not a lot of options for us in the city to do it. But until we find the right partner, until we find the right fit, like it's a possibility for sure. It's just we got to find the right ones that can execute it at the level that the players and the community deserve.
Just kind of expand a little bit on that. So with you guys doing the construction on the TGS and building everything, was there any like city support? Like, was Vancouver excited about
Richmond,
this?
actually,
Like,
because we're building out in Richmond. Yeah, Richmond. We've been working closely with like the city planners and the permitting office, and they've been very, very helpful with us at every step of the way, trying to help expedite the process when they could, and giving us guidance on certain challenges and all that stuff. So we hope they're very excited about this project, obviously, because it's new, it's unique, and it's obviously going to be an attraction for Richmond. Not that it needs any more attractions, because there's always something to do in Richmond, the night market or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like they've been very, very cooperative with us for sure.
Nice.
All right. So yeah, I was kind of wondering, just from your perspective, right? Like, since you guys are gonna have all these different kind of games, right? Which game do you actually think will be most popular for the gaming stadium?
Fortnite.
Think so?
I can tell you for sure, Fortnite, because it is a low barrier to entry. You don't need a team to join. You only need like one. All we need is just you. And even duos, you can find a partner easily. And Fortnite is currently the game to beat right now in terms of just like overall awareness and popularity. There is a large Fortnite community in the city, and we know this because we ran a Fortnite tournament back in October, and we hit about 130 players for that one alone.
130?
130 just for Fortnite. So it's a lot. So we can tell there's a huge demand for Fortnite just based off that one event alone. Like other games like Counter-Strike, they're popular in its own right. Like we ran that Counter-Strike tournament back in December, which obviously didn't do very well, but that one capped and we had a wait list. So I think that one's probably going to be second. And that's easier to do because the difference between Counter-Strike and games like League of Legends or Overwatch is that it's very role agnostic. You don't need to have a support player in Counter-Strike. You don't need to have like a mid lane or a top lane. All you need is someone who can point and shoot and not be dumb on like eco rounds, for example. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so you know what I mean. Yeah. So like just stuff like that, right? Like that's all you really need, and you don't need people that specialize in certain roles, or certain champions, or whatever. It's so the barrier to entry for Counter-Strike is lower in that regard. Yeah, and now it's just a matter of like finding and tapping into those players and hopefully putting and raising the awareness of what TGS is and encouraging and providing them with an environment where they can come out and compete and have fun.
Okay, yeah, you pretty much already answered my next question already, which was
Oh.
just gonna be like, what makes Counter-Strike unique? But I think you basically already answered that.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's
Yeah, I agree
there's
with
no
you
other way
too.
around it. Yeah,
I agree with
like
you.
it's easy to do, right? Like
Mhm.
yeah, I don't have to play Mercy. I can just like point a gun and shoot it. Great, fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess like one more personal question
absolutely.
I had was just like, if the gaming stadium didn't exist right now, what do you think would actually be the next big thing for Vancouver esports, if anything?
That's a
one.
very
Yeah.
good
Why would
question.
you ask that question on the spot? So rude.
What do you
He
mean?
was like he
No.
That wasn't-
KO'd him. He was like,
Yeah, he's just like, he's like, why would you ask me that?
I have to think because like I have to be very careful what I say.
Oh, can I say what a user said?
What's
This
that?
might protect you a little bit so you don't say anything. He says Vancouver tight.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's honestly that was actually my answer.
Too bad Overwatch is dead.
I know. Yeah. Well, yeah, he's not wrong though. Obviously, like the Titans have made a big impact in the city. We have like our first pro esports team, and hopefully we'll have some more on the way at some point. But yeah, the fact is that the Aquilinians made a significant investment in the Titans. Aquilinians being the owner of the Vancouver Canucks, for those of you not in the Northwest. But yeah, so they own an Overwatch slot. They bought into the league and everything. I think $30 million or something obscene just to buy in. But yeah, that's probably one of the biggest things to happen in the esports scene locally here in the city.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
Do you find that, like, let's be honest here, if you were to analyze like all the esports games and be like, okay, which one would you pitch to Aquilini or like
Mhm.
whoever?
Yep.
Like if you look at a lot of the other sports like teams that have like picked up
Yep.
like an esports title or whatever, a lot of them have been like Counter-Strike teams.
Yep.
Do you think Aquilini or whoever is making that decision, do you think they made it based on the fact that it's a Blizzard, and Blizzard's pitch was like, oh look, this is going to be the next big thing. We're getting like a buy-in fee from everyone,
Right.
like a franchise fee,
Yeah.
and all that stuff. And do you think the professionalism is what entices some sports teams to be like, hey, listen, this sounds like it's a legit thing from a legit company?
So that's a fantastic question, and I'll do my best to answer it. A number of factors that came into play here. One was that I'm sure the Aquilinians were pitched in round one, but they said no because they were unsure of it, because they only got in on season 2. But then when guys like New England Patriots, like when Kraft gets involved, or like when Golden State gets, like Philly, like Comcast, all these big names get involved, like, oh, maybe there's something here. So there's something to be said about proof of concept and having other organizations invest that are big name players. Like these are not small companies. These are not small time investors. These are like legitimate big organizations buying into Overwatch and esports. Another factor is that Blizzard is very, very good at selling and at making pitches. I know that they flew in certain prospective investors to BlizzCon, and they were probably there during 2 years ago or whatever, and they could see how big it was. And they ran the Overwatch World Cup there at BlizzCon. That's not a mistake on their part. That was deliberately intentional to showcase what and to give investors a taste of what competitive esports is like when it's well produced and well done. I think Blizzard's level of polish when it comes to its production it's very, very high up there. Like you'll be hard pressed to find a publisher, a developer or a publisher that can match what the Overwatch League has done in terms of like their broadcast quality. So that was another big draw. The Aquilinis know that they need to tap into the younger markets because people younger than us, they may not care about sports or hockey as much anymore. They need to find another way to kind of connect and stay relevant to people in the under. How old are we now? 30 something? The under 30 bracket, for example, right? So, I think those were all factors that kind of made an impact on the Aquilinis. Plus, I'm pretty certain that there came with regional things. So, I don't know if you know this, but in Toronto, the Maple Leafs, no one can make a hockey team within a certain kilometer radius around the Leafs.
Yeah.
I am almost certain that the Aquilinis negotiated a similar deal, which extends or even exceeds past Seattle. So someone from Seattle wants to put together an Overwatch team, they would have to pay the Aquilinas a big check. I can't confirm this because I don't actually know it, but I would not be surprised if that was the case. So that was probably another factor as well.
So now, Mike, the second part of that question then is that, so if you look at like the European organizations, they seem to invest in the Counter-Strike teams.
Absolutely.
But here in North America, it seems like a lot, mind you, some Counter-Strike teams I think got picked up, but for the most part, like you mentioned, all these like Overwatch teams that got picked up by big orgs. Do you think that in North America, it's more about like, oh, okay, is this going to be like, do you think the lack of like experience, or they're just looking at it from a very business, like like a standard sheet of paper, like, oh, this is XYZ, it checks off all these boxes. They want to set up like a franchise system. They want to set up like salaries for each players. Production's good. Check.
Yeah, and I think that's okay. So I'm not as familiar with the European scene compared to the North American scene. I also know that Valve is traditionally very hands-off when it comes to this stuff. So there is no guarantee, there's no overarching organization that can control, that provides a space for like organized play. It's usually third-party companies like ESL or whoever, right? And I don't think ESL... Is it IEM that's in North America mostly, or I don't think ESL has a strong presence in North America.
I think they're all over the place.
I think they're all over the place. I mean,
they're all over?
In terms of Counter-Strike, at least, like they hold tournaments every once in a while, like IEM Chicago, IEM Brooklyn, so they're around.
New York, I think.
It just seems like Counter-Strike isn't as popular in the North American scene compared to Europe for some reason, and I've always wondered why that was the case. Is it because North America sucks? I don't know. I'm not sure.
That's the case anymore. It's hard to say. I don't know.
Was it Cloud9 that like they made like exactly, and obviously E-League is now a thing with TNT, so that's good strides there. But it's hard to definitively say. I think that Counter-Strike is a riskier investment. It's not a safe play. Like if I was an investor and I had the choice between Overwatch, League of Legends, or Counter-Strike would be last because League of Legends and Overwatch have publisher support, and I know that if I invest, at least I'm guaranteed there for a number of seasons. Whereas with Counter-Strike, I have to like the team competing has to be like good. I can't just buy my way into like whatever. And I guess for some investors, like they don't know the space very well. They can't say for certain whether or not the team or the players or whatever are going to be strong competitively. So the risk is higher.
That's true.
The risk is a lot higher. There's no safety net.
That's true, but if you kind of look at the Counter-Strike scene as a whole, like look at how long it's been around in comparison to some of these other games with basically no support from Valve. Like Valve only funds like 2 majors a year that are less than $1 million each, or well, basically $1 million, right? Which
Dota
is like
2, and then there's CS:GO.
Dota 2 is basically like 17 times that amount, right, for one tournament.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, I don't know. At the same time, like Counter-Strike, the competitive scene has been around for like more than 10 years at this point. Whereas some of these other games like Overwatch, it's only been like their fourth year maybe at this point, right? So
I think they baited, in my opinion, this might be unpopular, but I think they baited a lot of these big companies with their like how professional and how well laid out things were going to be with Overwatch, and they sold them the cake without actually like making it yet. They were like, here's all the materials, here's your flour and all that stuff. It's not quite built yet. So like these guys, I think for Overwatch was like a long-term thing. They were like, oh, it'll come to fruition in like 10 years. You're going to have like, your 30 million will be like $1 billion company or like $1 billion franchise.
Yeah. Like I feel like Counter-Strike could be one of those titles, but Valve isn't taking advantage of it. Like you don't see them making jackets or jerseys for their teams. That's on the organization. You don't see them helping out organizations with like promotional or PR materials. That's on the organizations themselves. So a lot of the work that has to be done for Counter-Strike, it's up to the teams, the players to take care of all of that. And a lot of these teams don't have the budget or the resources to execute it. Whereas with the Overwatch League and with League of Legends, that developer support, there's a team that's dedicated towards the marketing and promotion of their games and their teams to market not just the game as a product, but the players. Because I think Counter-Strike also does things like team skins or whatever too, right? So that's obviously a thing too. But what about, how hard are they investing in things like merchandise, or what can you even merchandise in Counter-Strike? I don't actually know, right? But it's like it's secondary, tertiary sources of income that's just not quite there yet. And until that happens, until Valve decides, until Gabe decides I want more money, he's not going to do it. So yeah.
Yeah.
God, Gabe, what are you doing, man? Man,
Yeah,
Metro
it's
leaves too. I just started thinking about the whole Metro thing with Steam and the Epic launch. I'm like, wow, what's going on over there, guys?
Well, they take too big of a cut, so that's one.
30% or something,
They
right?
take 30.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
That's
take 30%.
massive.
And Epic Games is like, listen, we got a good thing going on over here. Just come over here.
Yeah.
We'll take like 20. I don't know what the percentage.
Exactly.
We'll take 20.
Yeah. And
say,
if you
okay, sure.
eclipse over a certain number of sales, we'll drop it down to 15% or whatever. Yeah.
Exactly. And then also they're like, oh, well, we have Fortnite. This is like the biggest game ever.
Yeah.
And then so of course they're gonna be like, hey, like that's not a bad thing. Like we'll cross promo or like something
right
for you guys. Like yeah,
some
there's
joint skins or whatever. But then who loses? The players do, right? Like I don't want to have 5 different launchers to run different games, man. It's so frustrating.
It is frustrating, but actually, I disagree. I think it brings out a lot of competition.
That's true.
Steam would then just butcher everyone as far as like gouging, like whatever prices or whatever.
Yeah, a monopoly. You're right.
Yeah, but what happens is like right now, actually, I'm gonna bring up this is no one's gonna be happy about this, but EA actually has a killer system. You pay $20 a month, you get everything.
Origin.
That's crazy. You get everything for $20, and it's not like they're not producing games. They produce all their standard games every year, like all their sports games. Then there's like a Battlefield, Anthem's coming up. They have this new Apex game on there, Titanfall.
Apex is on there. Wow.
Yeah, like the list goes on, and then and they do $20 a month, mind you. I think they're constantly trying to add to that.
Yeah.
But the idea is there. They're like, hey, listen, $20, and if you think about it, I think it's $130
annually
for the year, or something like that. Or $120. You save a little bit, but that's basically 2 full games.
And then they nickel and dime you and like put in DLCs for every little.
No, you get the DLCs.
What?
Yeah,
who is this company? Everything. Are you sure it's the same EA we're talking about?
No, what? I'm pretty sure you get all the DLCs. The only thing you don't get is like cosmetic stuff. So like if you want your guy to look like pink and purple, then you have to buy that. But for everything else, I'm pretty sure, I might be wrong. Somebody might correct me in chat, but
that's crazy.
You get all the DLCs and stuff for free. The cosmetics you have to buy. But that's a great deal in my opinion. Like, can you imagine if Blizzard was like, oh, hey, by the way, play all of our games. Mind you, most of them are free, but they're like, that subscription fee that you pay for.
It's called World of Warcraft there, but.
Exactly. It's like just, wow. But if they're like, hey, listen, pay us $15 a month, and you get the WoW subscription, you get like, we give you like X amount of packs in Hearthstone.
Yeah.
We give you like points in whatever, Heroes of the Storm.
Yeah.
I think subscription is actually a genius business model because you have people constantly playing your games, and then you're like, you don't have that added pressure of, oh, this is an $80 game that you want to play. Okay, if you want to pay $80, this game better be perfect, and then it gets bashed.
God, whereas out there, like some developers like listening to you right now and just taking.
I don't think it's a bad model if you have lots of games.
Yeah.
If you have lots of games, that's the key. If you have one game, like back in the day, it makes sense for Blizzard because it's an MMO, but $15 a month for one game seems like not good for the consumer nowadays. Yeah.
I have a question too.
Sure, what's up?
But I'm going to go away from the Overwatch thing. Sorry, Persian.
It's okay. No problem. Good discussion, man.
No, it was. It is interesting to hear that side of it too, right? So, but this is kind of a random question, but it sounds like you've been around for a long time. But like, if you could give out any kind of advice to a young entrepreneur or like a young person wanting to get into this business side of it, what would be your recommendation, or what would be your opinion on it?
My guidance, your
wisdom.
Yeah, my wisdom would be, I would say the best piece of advice I can give to people that want to get involved is volunteer. Join your collegiate esports clubs. Join like a local LAN center, volunteer, help out at different events. If you see an opportunity to help out at a LAN or whatever for anything from like setup or production, take that chance and do it, because experience is hard to find in this industry. And even if it doesn't have to be like an in-person event, it could even be like online or whatever, right? Like I saw, like I'm doing interviews this week, and I had one candidate kind of really catch my eye because they had all this experience listed for all the work that they did in handling certain online leagues across different titles. I'm like, wow, you can't, that's not, you don't get that kind of experience every day. So just being like a tournament admin or being like a league administrator and handling disputes or resolutions or whatever, those are all good skills to have, especially if you want to get into esports. It shows that you are dedicated and you're passionate about making and improving the industry. And it doesn't have to be, and it also kind of, I guess another thing to consider is what area do you want to go into. Do you want to be a caster? Do you want to be a streamer? You can be like these guys, these fine gentlemen right here, run a podcast, right? Run your own stream, run your own show. If you want to get into journalism, start a blog, contribute to news sites. Like there's all sorts of different things you can do. Or do what I did. Start your own events. Talk to like your local, go to your school, see if you can book like a classroom or, whatever for a couple hours and start running your own get-togethers. There's a lot of ways to get started. It's just, you have to find a way to determine what works for you. So, but at the end of the day, it's just get involved and start volunteering, and it'll pay off like it did for me.
Yeah, definitely agree on that too. Like, at the very start, like, be willing to volunteer your time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just because I know a lot of people will kind of be like, well, I don't want to do it unless they get paid and stuff like that. It's like, well, unless you can show there's a particular reason why you should get paid, then there's kind of no reason to really be asking for that in the first place. So
I can tell you right now, straight up as like a VP, I would not pay someone who didn't have experience to begin with. I would not trust someone without that level of experience. Like I would trust Danny. I would pay Danny. I would pay Laz. Like, because these guys have been around the community for a long time, and they've had that passion, and obviously they care a lot about Counter-Strike. And I want to make sure that if we do Counter-Strike right, we do it properly, we do it with experienced veterans like these two guys. I wouldn't have it any other way. Well, unless someone else came along that was better than these two, but we'll see.
Probably
exactly.
I think that
these guys will be the standard. Yeah. So if anyone out there can outproduce Danny and Laz, like by all means, you can try your luck. But that's the standard.
My name is Persian.
I like a party.
Mm-hmm.
One of the questions on the chat was why wouldn't Danny join your team? Well, that's a really great question because
couldn't afford him.
I actually have an ESTA open team right now, and it's with people he's played with, and he doesn't want to play with us either. So he thinks he's too good. So I don't know. I mean. I honestly
and it's literally just for fun.
Like it's literally we just show up, we just play.
Can I join the league?
Yeah, dude, do it. Yeah.
Sweet. All right.
It's literally we just show up, we play, and we like talk in a group chat. We're like, hey, you guys coming on tonight? It's like perfect. And then Danny's like, no, I'm not doing it. I'm like, all right.
I think they're literally playing a match tonight.
Like you got to pretty much have like a almost invite spot, and he might consider it. Maybe he'll be like, I don't know, man. Then last time
he's got nothing to do.
So
no, the funny thing is, there was one LAN before where GameClux 2013. There was one LAN before where I told Laz probably a week before, I was like, all right, I'm not coming. I don't have a team for this or anything like that. And then basically the night before, I tell Laz, like, hey, Laz, I'm coming. And he's like, what? It's like, no, you're not. And the thing that actually happened was I found a team very last minute. Like, they brought me in as a ringer, basically.
Wow.
And then Laz didn't believe me at all until I basically saw him in person. He was like, you gotta be kidding me, man. You gotta be kidding me. And yeah, that same tournament, me and Laz, we had like probably one of the most intense best of threes you've ever had, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we played in like the group stage, and it was like our team and their team, and it literally every game went to the wire pretty much. It was so ridiculous. Like it's anyways,
the sad part about that LAN also was that like everybody was waiting on our match to finish.
Yeah. It was like, hurry up, guys. We're like,
you guys held the bracket. Wow.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
I think I got most of my questions. I don't know if Persian or Danny or if anybody in the chat has anything they want to ask quickly. I mean, we've had Matt on for a little bit of time here,
Yeah.
so
Okay. Can I ask you guys a question?
Sure.
oh yeah.
What do you hope to get out of the stadium?
I want Persian to answer this first.
I want Persian to answer
He's got
this.
that look on his face.
we have this esports facility coming to town, but at the end of the day, we're a community-based organization, right? So this is a kind of a way for me to get a feel of what the Counter-Strike community is looking for and how we can help them. So how can we help you?
I was jokingly in the moment gonna say a job, but
Resumes are open.
I know.
These are happening.
I love it. And then no, but seriously, I think it's a sense of basically what I didn't have in my mind. It would be what I didn't have when I was growing up and playing, and that was like constant tournaments and a constant place to go to like game. So like a sense of community, which you're kind of, you're writing down. Oh.
There's valuable input here.
But basically, yeah, that was it for me anyways. I was like a lot of the time growing up, like basically what killed me looking back was I actually was supposed to go to the CPL for Source, and my parents were just outright just like no. And then I was like, oh, okay, and I just never fought them on it because it was in Dallas, and in my house like, this is ridiculous, like I'm gonna go to Dallas and play. Like, also, to be fair, I pitched it horribly. Like I was like 15 and I was like, hey, can I go to Dallas? And they were like, what? No, you're not just going to Dallas. And I tried kind of explaining what it was, but I just gave up. But that sense of like somewhere to start to like showcase like the building blocks, like going from 0 to CPL is like, what? But if you go from like 0 online tournaments, like online matches to, oh, I went to this thing that was like in whatever, like a ferry ride away, your parents are more inclined to be like, hey, yeah, okay, let's go, whatever. We want to take a trip anyways, we'll go out there. You go out there like, yeah, and then you play.
It's funny you say that because that's something I want to do as well. One of the plans I'm working on at some point is like, I know, for example, what we like to do is we like to run like a satellite, like a qualifier event. The winning team that wins like a local Counter-Strike qualifier will send that team as a representative of TGS to like DreamHack or whatever, something like that. So we know not everyone can afford to go to DreamHack on their own. That's understandable. It's not not the cheapest thing to do in the world. So what we like to do is provide a way for the winning team and send them and give them that experience as a prize. But it's something that we'd like to do. Whether or not we can pull it off, we don't know yet. But it's certainly an idea. So it's like a qualifier into an open.
So that's really great. Yeah. That's the thing I keep thinking about is like that feeling of community and like proving something. Like I think proving grounds like Laz and Mahone. I mean, I was on the island, so there wasn't much going on. It was too far away, and there's like a bunch of other stuff. But like Mahone and Laz, like there's like a concrete like path of like, oh, I went to all these things and you experience this like sense of community at all these lands. Now, mind you, with all that, there was like probably huge gaps in between where there wasn't really anything going on, right? And it probably encouraged Mahone, that gap probably encouraged someone like Mahone to be like, oh, let me like step up and like host a tournament and like bring something to the community at that time.
Exactly. Okay. Yeah. Good to know. All right, you guys.
Laz, you want to take it?
Ooh, man, me?
Gonna follow that.
I think Persian made some really good comments. For me, like I think this is something that never was offered, so that's already a huge thing. And I think community is a really big thing. So it's really cool to see TGS is capturing that and trying to build a community. So I think that's really a really good start. And then just even hearing you saying like, you want the opportunity to provide teams assistance to going to a tournament and showing your support that way, that's huge. Like that's just things we never hear about. So I mean that's already a huge hats off to you guys. And I mean, you did make a comment before, and this is a little sidetracked, but you made a comment about the CSGO LAN that you guys had. And I mean, honestly, you guys had such a good amount of teams show up, and there was like, you already exceeded expectations that people only dreamed about, right? Like the venue is like a ESA LAN setup. It was, the computers were like really good. It was like awesome venue. Like it was all great. It was just unfortunate circumstances. But I mean, now you guys know what to be prepared for, right? So, and again, it's just things that people have never seen. Like I've been playing forever, and I never been to something like that. So that was already a huge thing for me. I was like, oh, this is amazing. I think the biggest thing for me, is building a community. I think.
I just had an idea. Can we set up like a show match, like a captain's draft with you and Danny?
That's
Oh,
genius.
boy.
That's
Oh, man.
genius.
Gotta write
Who
down
would play
Wait, who
that?
would they draft out of though? What
I don't
pool
know.
would they be drafting?
anyone,
Yeah, maybe
Whoever
like
you guys
Signs
can
up,
get.
yeah.
whoever you could pick.
Whoever
cool
we could
players.
pick.
If you can convince JDM to come out, that's
Oh
your
man, Laz is gonna get all the good players, man. He's played with all of them.
Getting carried.
Oh man, I don't know.
And
We'll see.
Daddy has to get the players like
Yeah,
people that
I'll
want
have
to
the
crush.
younger. I'll have the younger people. I get
Oh,
guys like
jeez.
tens. Guys like him. But no, that'd actually be a pretty good idea. I'd love to play Laz again on LAN.
on the stage.
Not
Yeah.
together. He wants to play against me.
Yeah, exactly.
We always have this thing where it's like we always either we love to play against each other, and we also love to play with each other too. Like
Do you guys like playing with each other?
I thought-
Doesn't seem like that's a two-way
I
road.
feel like it's one
It's just,
side.
like, kinda one way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like
Yes.
one guy really wants to play with the other guy, and the other guy's like, I don't want to join you.
Maybe later.
To be fair, it goes both ways. There's been times
Yeah.
where Laz said no too. So
What? When would Laz ever
Dude.
say no?
ESCA intermediate. He only played 3 matches when I was a starter, and then guess what? I'm not playing this season either. Laz is playing like every match so far. So I don't know, man.
Yeah, I take it back.
That's funny.
Um,
How about you, Danny?
Yeah. So I guess for me, yeah, definitely community is a big thing. For me, probably the one way to sum it up is just I want the stadium to be able to provide the same experiences that I've been able to get as basically a member of the community. So, I first started off with just going to, all the lands in the area, and then just making all these connections with, people like Laz and Persian, basically, that, I probably wouldn't have.
People like Laz.
Yeah, that wouldn't that I wouldn't have made otherwise without the game, right? So
Yeah.
for I just want anybody who goes to the stadium to be able to have that kind of same experience where they can build so many connections. And I have so many like lifelong friends from like people I've met at LAN, and like for people like Laz, like I only see him maybe like twice a year, maybe even once a year, right? But still a very close friend of mine. Same with Persian as well. So that's like the one thing where that's what I'd want the stadium to bring for everybody basically, and just having more and more regular tournaments, because in this area it's not as active anymore.
Yeah.
I don't really think it's ever really been as active as some of the other regions in CS, but that's just what I want to see more of. I want to also see like a Philadelphia type of event for the TGS, right? I mean, it might be a
Ooh.
while for now.
It's ambitious,
Yeah,
man.
it
I
might
like
be a while
it.
from now, but I think it can happen. And other than that, I think that's basically
name
the
that.
things I'd want to see.
You think Philadelphia is him? No, man, you guys are gonna kill Philadelphia. Are you kidding?
We're gonna need some time.
No,
Yeah.
no.
Well, the
From
thing
what
is,
I saw
yeah, go ahead.
at the at that event, the last CS tournament you guys held, dude, so many teams came out for that, and you guys had a waiting list for sure.
You gotta
you
wait.
guys-
Look.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you guys are gonna for sure hit that.
No, but the thing
Yeah.
is that if you think about Philadelphia has like 40, 50 something teams, and they fly from all over North America, right? So it's definitely
Yeah.
different.
Dude, all you need is money as a prize pool, and everyone will show up. That's it. That's
true.
literally counter show.
Cool.
Yeah, no, that's great. One question that was in the chat is if the gaming stadium is going to be providing Red Bulls so that there can be players yelling "Oh baby." Is it- Red Bull as a sponsor,
That's a marketing question, which I'm not qualified to answer
Okay.
at this time.
All
We are in discussions with multiple vendors and sponsors, so I can't discuss any more at this time regarding
of
that.
course,
Of course.
I really hope so. I mean,
mean-
any spokesperson, I'm there. I'm gonna be like Red Bulls. Oh baby. Be like a dude line like give you wings. It's just like oh baby. But yeah, I think that kind of concludes the show. Matt, we really do appreciate your time.
Mhm.
I know we took a little bit longer than we promised you, but
It's
we
okay.
definitely appreciate you coming on and
Had a lot of fun.
chat. Yeah, no, it's great, and I think Chad had a good time asking a few questions, and you definitely answered them. And one small thing, guys, is that Matt actually is really responsive on his Twitter and everything. Like, I mean, I reached out to him, and he responded to me within that day. So definitely reach out to him. Like he made a comment about that right in the beginning of the show, and he truly means it. Like he is the guy to talk to, and he will talk to you. Like it's not like you're just getting lost in DMs. Like you can slide in them, and he'll talk, and he'll reply back. It's great.
Only caveats if I'm rating, I won't be responding when I'm rating. That's the only.
It might take longer. Yeah, I caught him on a good day, I guess. But either way, he does respond pretty quick. So. I think that kind of concludes it. I mean, I definitely appreciate it, and we're really looking forward to seeing what the TGS can do, or the gaming stadium, sorry. And for all the viewers, like tune in. They're going to have their CS:GO event. I believe it's in like mid-May. I think it's around the 18th. Yeah. So they're going to be having a bit of a soft opening there, so that's great. And they'll probably have more information later on. But Matt, we'll kind of leave the floor to you if there's any last things you want to say.
No, not much more for me to add. Just make sure you follow us at Gaming Stadium CS for all of our latest announcements and potential team signings, and that's an important one. Most of our event dates will definitely be announced on there, and just keep an eye on it. Well, we're going to be busy for the next little while, so things will be picking up pretty soon.
Looking forward to it.
Thanks so much, Matt. Nice meeting.
All right.
Thank you. Likewise.
All right, thanks, guys. And we're gonna be wrapping up. So next episode, maybe next week, you guys. Maybe. I don't know.
I don't know. Ask Laz.
I was just going to say ask Persian. I was literally just about to say that. You beat me to the punch. Yeah, no, we for anybody that's watching, we are trying to have this as a common thing. So we're trying to do it every Monday, hopefully Mondays or potentially Wednesdays. We're kind of still figuring out our schedule, but we will let you guys know. Follow us on Twitter, and we'll definitely be announcing it more often.
All right. Thank you guys for watching. Have a good night, guys.
Bye-bye.